Hello and welcome back to day 4 of Flash Briefing February with me, Suze Cooper, and with Peter Stewart as well. We are bringing you everything that you need to know to set up and create your own flash briefing that can be heard via Amazon's Alexa smart speakers. So here is the place where you can find out your creative ideas, the mindset, the skill set, and the marketing behind creating your very own flash briefing. Today is day 4, and we will be covering some basic tech tips. So the kind of stuff that you might need equipment-wise to create your flash briefing. And it really doesn't have to be very expensive. We're not talking about having really deep pockets to have to make these audio flash briefings at all, are we, Peter? There are certainly things that you probably already have that you could use to create your flash briefing.
Absolutely. We're trying to help you on the road to producing really good content. But you know what? You don't have to spend a huge amount of money. As Sue says, you've probably got some of these things already. However, do remember that good sound will make people stick around. However, if you've got a microphone that's maybe £50 or $50 and you've got a choice of buying one which is £250 or £300 or dollars, you're not necessarily going to get 4 or 5 times better quality out of that more expensive mic. So we're going to, we've been in and around audio presentation and production for more years than we care to remember. And at my age, frankly, it's difficult to remember anything. However, what we would say is you don't have to spend an absolute fortune. Now, what I would say also is don't buy a whole load of gear, because sometimes it can be all the gear but no idea. It's the content that counts. And I've got a little kind of way that I think about these. The simpler your content production and tech system is, the easier that it's going to use. It's the easier it's going to be for you to use. And the easier it is to use, the more often you're actually going to be using it. And the more often that you actually use it, the better you'll become at presentation. And the better you come at presentation, the faster your audience will grow. So don't throw a whole load of time and a whole load of money at getting all sorts of fancy things and creating a whole kind of home studio because you'll spend too much time doing that and not enough time actually creating the content that people are after. And in fact, our good friends who are Scott and Susan Westwater recently, at the back end of last year, produced an audiobook. How did they record their audiobook? In their closet, in their walk-in wardrobe, just surrounded by clothes and coats to deaden the sound. Now, we're going to be talking about sound deadening, soundproofing a little bit later on in the course, but let's go back to what we're talking about specifically today. Now, the easiest way that you can actually record your flash briefing, before Suze kind of steps it up with the semi-pro gear in a few moments' time, is just on a mobile phone. We talked yesterday briefly about podcast hosts. We're going to be talking a little bit more about choosing a podcast host a little bit later on this month. But so long as you've got a podcast host that you can upload content from your phone straight to it, so maybe it's got an app or a really good website or something like that, record your audio in your phone and even have your notes or your script in your phone as well. How's that going to work? Well, let me give you a couple of examples. You could, for example, use the app, the podcast platform, Spreaker. Yeah, so it's like loudspeaker, but with an R, Spreaker. Okay, so it's an app. You can record straight into the Spreaker app, and as soon as you finish, it's made available as a flash briefing, and Alexa can go straight there and can play it immediately after you've finished. Now, you want some really good quality sound for the cheapest possible price. So what you do is you get one of those little lapel mics, yeah, like they have like the newsreaders wear on the telly. So you can clip it to yourself, kind of just about here, okay, just under your chin, just on the top of your shirt or top of your blouse or wherever. Plug the other end into the phone, and then that's going to do 2 things. Number one, it'll mean that you've got a better quality than just talking straight into a phone. These are called lavalier or lav mics or clip-on mics. reasonably good quality, but cheap ones, you're probably talking about $20, $30, pounds, euros. But the other advantage is that you can actually then hold your phone away from you so that you can look at the screen, so you can see where the buttons are to stop and start recording. You can play in sound effects. For example, your theme tune, and we're going to come to audio logos a little bit later on in our Flash Briefing February course. And also what it means is if you've made any notes or if you're reading some kind of script off your phone, frankly, you're able to see it because you're holding it at arm's length. Normally, if you held your phone at arm's length and you'd be recording, then your voice would be too far away. It wouldn't come over clearly enough. But of course, if you've got your microphone plugged in to your phone and the other end clipped on to the top of your shirt, you're going to sound good quality wise, and you're going to sound good because of your professionalism, and the whole package for your flash briefing is going to sound so much better. So that's the really cheap way of doing it. All you've shelled out for is, well, you've got to have a podcast host anyway, 20 or 30 pounds, dollars, euros on your microphone, and you've probably got a mobile phone or a cell phone anyway. So it's hardly any money at all. Okay, maybe you want to do it at home, and of course you could be using that mobile phone system at home anyway. Maybe you want to step it up a gear in a kind of back office, you know, your bedroom studio, something like that. You got a computer, you want to know how all that works. Suze is here to give you the lowdown.
Yeah, that's right. So the next kind of step away from using your phone might be to use a USB mic that will plug directly into your computer so that you can enhance the audio that's being sent directly to whatever software it is that you're going to be recording into. So obviously on the phone, you're recording directly into perhaps with Spreaker, the podcast host. If you're using your laptop, you're going to need a piece of software that is recording the audio on the other end. Now, we will look at that in more depth as we go through this Flash Briefing February month. We will look at different audio software providers, but just off the top of my head, or perhaps GarageBand, and moving further on, perhaps even Audition or Reaper. So there are a few that are out there that you can use. What you will need is a USB mic, as I say. This kind of enhances the audio going into your laptop or your computer. Most of them have an internal microphone built in, but by using a USB mic, it kind of gives you a little bit more direction, perhaps, and you're able to kind of get just a clearer sound quality. So there are various ones on the market that aren't particularly expensive. The Blue Yeti is out there. Samsung do quite a good range, and Shure do as well. What I would suggest, if you're going to use a USB mic, a lot of these are kind of handheld mics, if you like, which gives you the impression that you might be actually holding it in front of you. Certainly, broadcast tip would be that what can sometimes happen when you're holding a microphone is that the casing on the mic can move around. Perhaps the cable tap about a bit, and it creates what's known in the business as mic rattle, which is terribly difficult to, well, impossible really, to take away from your audio recording, and actually can really affect the sound quality when someone's listening. They can hear this horrible kind of echoey, rattly noise. So to avoid that, something I would suggest that you invest in if you're going for a USB mic is to get a tripod of some sort. And again, they sell those fairly cheaply alongside the microphones generally. Another thing that you might want to invest in is a pop shield of some sort. They are generally kind of bits of kind of plastic that have got a piece of netting over the top that stop those plosive sounds, those P's, B's, T's, from really popping on your mic. And they can make a big difference to the sound quality as well. So yeah, USB mics are a great way of recording the audio into your computer and onto one of those pieces of software that I've mentioned before. There's some more Flash Briefing. Tomorrow, Peter, what will we be chatting about?
So tomorrow we're going to be talking about perhaps some of the most important stuff, and that is about content, about where you're going to be finding these ideas from, and what you're going to be talking about. So don't forget, you can come back tomorrow as Flash Briefing February continues. Day 5 tomorrow, basic tech tips today, basic content ideas coming up tomorrow. And in the meantime, if you're suffering from a bit of FOMO in between time over the next 24 hours, don't forget to sign up for our Friday flash briefing, which gives you some more links and some ideas of all sorts of ideas about tech and about content, about marketing, the skill set, the mindset of the marketing for building a better briefing. Go to voiceworks.info and we're back tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
We'll see you then.